Hi, this is Beverly with Beverly's Crafts, and today we're going to do the tutorial for the Kingman Shawl. We're going to use the Premier Everyday Bobbin. It's my first time using it. The yarn is so soft and squishy. It's equivalent of 3 balls, which gives us 543 yards, which is perfect for the size of the Kingman Shawl. We're going to use a J hook, which I'm going to be, of course, mentioning. We're not going to use this pink color today. We're going to use the teal color, and you'll see that later in the actual construction of the Kingman Shawl. I just wanted to show you real quick again. This one I finished. This is in a rose color MaryMaxim yarn, the Kingman Shawl. And you can see how it starts out. And I'm going to be showing you that. And we have 3 rows of chain 1, double crochet, skip 1. Then we have 1 row of solid double crochets. And the next row is back to your single crochet, your double crochet, your chain, and skip 1. And the most tedious part about this is this row here, which is row 5, because you have to make sure you don't skip a space. And then this, you have to do your skip a space. So you don't want to skip here, but you got to skip here. And once you get these 2 mastered, the rest of it's mindless. I did 2 other patterns this week that I gave up on. It wasn't that I couldn't do them, but we need something that we can relax, enjoy. I really enjoy this. And watch it in front of the TV or during our YouTube video listening, whatever. So I'm going to hold it up. I'm going to show you all the way to the bottom. Okay. I hate to wiggle it, but I wanted you to see the very bottom, and it's just not cooperating. And then my other one I showed you before. This one is done in the Premier Sweet Roll Frostie. Okay. And Premier is my favorite yarn company. So, without further ado, we're going to go into the bobbin and the Kingman Shawl. I want to talk a little bit about that pattern, and you can see this was mentioned in my want to make, and it says Lion Brand. They initially used the Lion Brand Shawl in a Cake yarn, and the pattern can be gotten from the MaryMaxim website or the Lion Brand website, and it's called the Kingman Shawl. Now, it recommends a J hook, as you can see right there, and I'm shaking it. I don't want to shake it. It measures approximately 31 inches by 57 inches. I've made it twice out of medium weight 4 using a J hook. I made it once out of a cake yarn, and then I made it once out of MaryMaxim worsted, and they both came out lovely, but my dimensions ended up being 28 by 60, and that's when I stopped, or my yarn ran out. Okay, now what I wanted to talk about is some of the notes here on our pattern. Now, you can always do a gauge swatch with the yarn that you have, and it will tell you that if you do 13 double crochets and 5.5 rows, it will measure 4 inches. So what you could do is you could do a chain of like 16 or whatever across, and then do 5.5 rows, and then put your gauge ruler or a ruler, count out 13 stitches and 5.5 rows, and 13 stitches wide, and 5.5 rows should equal 4 inches. Now on something like this, it really doesn't matter. But if you were making a sweater or maybe a blanket and you wanted to know how much yardage, that's how you do gauge. Okay, now for this specific pattern, the shawl is worked beginning at the center back neck and is shaped with increases. So I'm going to be showing you that. And there is a diagram. I didn't print out the diagram. I'm not really a diagram girl, but I will mention about diagrams that if you get stuck and you can't find a tutorial or anybody else that's made the pattern, print out or review online the stitch diagram for this pattern, and it might just help you. Okay, now reading a pattern. Here's the shawl. Its first step, it says, is to chain 7. Okay, now in an earlier video I mentioned that you're to follow the punctuation. Pretend you're reading a sentence or a paragraph in a book. If you were to read a sentence that had a comma or some form of punctuation, in this case it's a semicolon, you would stop, you would pause, or you would take a breath. So the first thing it says is to chain 7, and there's punctuation. So if it was me doing this, and you'll see me do it later, chain 7. So I would lay my pattern down, I would chain 7, and I would take a break. Then I would come back here to join with slip stitch in first chain to form a ring. Now, if you know how to do that, that's great. I'll be showing you later. But in this first line of instructions, there's 2 steps. First you chain 7, then you join it with a ring. Okay, now let's proceed here again on to row 1. First thing it says is chain 4, and then there's punctuation. Okay? Chain 4. And then it wants you to read what's in the parentheses till you get to the comma, and at the comma you're going to stop or pause. You're not just going to keep on reading because it can be overwhelming. So we're going to read from here to here. The chain 4 actually counts as the first double crochet and 1 chain in this row and in all following rows. So that's a hint for you. You're going to be chaining 4 in this case on every beginning of your row. Okay? And that's going to be counted as a double crochet and a chain 1. Now we're going to read this here and we're going to follow the punctuation. Next it says 7 double crochets, comma. So that's what you're going to do. Then you're going to chain 2. Then you're going to do 7 double crochets. Then you're going to do a chain 1 and another double crochet. And here it says in ring. So up in the first line we formed the ring. Now the 7 double crochets, chain 2, 7 double crochets, chain 1, a double crochet is all gonna be in that ring. Now the next, it says that you will have. So what ends up, that is a summary of what that row consists of. So after you got done with your parentheses, you would have 16 double crochets. Okay? 2 chain 1 spaces, because remember over here we're going to have spaces. Okay, it says you will have 16 double crochets, 2 chain 1 spaces. So where that comes in is we had the chain 4 and we chained, and that counts as a chain 1, right? I can't put my finger in there because it covers it up. And then we had a chain 1 space before the last double crochet, and 1 center chain 2 at the end of this row. So that's what you're going to have, and it'll make more sense as I do it. Now the next thing in this one, as you can see, the row is much more complicated, and we're going to do that as we go. But my point in doing this section is just to get you to notice the punctuation. Okay, now I wanted to show you how to move your yarn. Now, I peeled this label back, and you can see the 3 yarns coming off of the top of the spool. As you look at it, you can see the yarns are coming up this way. I decided that I'm going to use the light colored one first. So what I need to do is I need to take these other 2 yarns and remove them from the top of the cake, or the bobbin, excuse me. So I have them there. And then what I'm going to do is take them down to the bottom of the bobbin. Okay. And I already peeled this away so that you could see. And so I'm going to take one of the strands. I'm going to pull it and put it into the top like that. Okay. I'm going to take the other strand, and I did take my fingers and kind of push on these to separate them out, see? Okay, so now I'm going to take this strand, and I'm going to put it up here, and I'm going to put it in, okay? And now if you look at my cake, the 2 strands are out of my way, and I have just the one. So I'm going to take that strand, and that's the one I'm going to work with. Now, when I crochet, I have the yarn come off to my left, this way. When I knit, I have it come out the other way, okay? So what I'm going to do, Cinnamon Stitches gave us a tip on one of her videos that it's best if you set the cake down, okay, on the floor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and put it on the floor. Okay, the yarn is coming off of the top of the bobbin really easily. Now, I don't want to jiggle the camera around too much because it will make you dizzy, but it's down on the floor and it's coming off great. Now, by now you should have printed out our pattern, okay? If not, the link is below, and if you want to just follow me, you can. But I really would like it if you would take the opportunity to learn how to read patterns. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our slip knot. And if you remember from my how-to video, which I'll have a link below, I don't make a big deal out of my slip knot. A lot of people do, but that's how I do my slip knot. And I also believe that if you've ever done a slip knot in your whole entire life, that's the procedure that you should use. And again, the slip knot is the same in knitting as it is in crochet. Now, if you're looking at your pattern, the first thing it says is to chain 7. So we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now I'm going to reach over to by my bobbin, which is on the floor, and bring in some more yarn. It's coming off so easy. It's not even, like when you start out and you get yarn barf sometimes in your skeins. You have to find the center, all that stuff. Not with the bobbin. You just pull it right off and separate your colors like I did, and you're good. Okay, now we have 7 chains. And then it says to join it in a ring. Okay, so to join it in a ring, here's our first stitch, and we're just going to put it in there. Now, we'll get it in a second. There we go. I wasn't holding it right. Okay, so there it is. Now, when I have to do a ring, sometimes I lose my center. So as you can see, I'm using my thumb. Okay, now this is the tail that's hanging over here, so we're going to put that in the back. But as you can see, I put my finger in the hole. And then it says a slip stitch. So right now I have our last stitch here, or loop, and this is the first chain. So I'm going to go under to create a slip stitch. I'm going to slip it through both loops. Okay, so there's my slip stitch. Then that I'm done with the first line in our pattern. It said to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now it says to count this 1, 2, 3, 4 as a chain 3 and also a chain 1. So it counts as the first double crochet and a chain 1. All right, and it says that it's going to count as a double crochet and a chain 1 throughout our pattern. Now, the next punctuation, you read it, the whole entire group goes into the ring. So that's why I've been holding this open. So now we're going to do 7 double crochets. Okay, so we're going into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over again, pull through 2, pull through 2. And I'm kind of assuming you already know how to do these stitches because I'm going to be going faster later. So that was 1 double crochet. So we're going to yarn over again. We're going to go into our loop, into our ring, and pull through 2. And, I got a mistake back here, so I have to go back. Now, you are noticing that the yarn is splitting. And I'm not going to call that a bad thing because I really love this yarn. I love how it feels. I love how it comes off the spool. So I'm going to be forgiving. Okay. 1. So this is going to be our first double crochet. Yarn over, go in the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2. Okay, we're going to do it again. Yarn over, go into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn, so you saw it split again, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because I love this concept and the softness of the yarn. Yarn over, go into the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. And if you look at this, we now have 4 double crochets. Yarn over, go in the ring, pull up a loop. yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. And it might just be that this is at the beginning of the spool, and it may not, because see how it's, you know, more together than it was at the initial. So it may not split as much as we think. Okay, yarn over, go in the ring, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now, if I was doing this without conducting the video, I would be counting these as I go. But so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But this is also helping you to see what your stitches look like, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this first one is way over here is a 6, okay? And then this is our chain 3 that looks like is being counted as a double crochet, but it's not counted in our 7, okay? So I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to yarn over, go into the ring again, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, we're referring back to our pattern. It says to do a chain 2. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. That's our chain 2. Okay? Now, we're going to do 7 more double crochets. So we have 1, 2, oh, I'm getting out of the frame, 3, 4, okay, and I'm going to turn my fan on. I'm still having hot flashes. And I wanted to mention my tea that I'm having. This is iced hibiscus tea and Badea. I'm not sure how you say that, but it has no caffeine. And in a pint, I believe, a pint of water, I put in 3 bags, and I refill as needed. As long as it stays pretty red, then I keep using it. But these tea bags, I love these tea bags, and I get them at the store with no issue, and it's pretty economical. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have. So we have our chain 2 space, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So it means we have to do 3 more, okay? So we're going to go 1, 2, and we're still in there, as you can see. 3, okay, and see, I'm just going to pull my yarn, and it's coming so nicely off the bobbin. Okay, now, and I believe that you could take that bobbin in the car and just set it on the floorboard and pull it right up. Okay, let's make sure we have 7. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, then it says in that same parentheses to do a chain 1. Okay, yarn over, pull through, and then it says there was a comma after that chain. So I'm going to take a breath, look at the next stitch, which is a double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now it stops. If you're looking at our pattern, it tells you that you have 16 double crochets. So that means we have 1 double crochet here and 7. So that's 8. We have 7 and 1 double crochet there. So there's another 8. 8 and 8 is 16. Then it says we have 2 chain 1 spaces. So here's a chain 1 space, and here's a chain 1 space. Then it says we have 1 chain 2 space, and that's what we have. Now it says to chain 4, so we're way over here, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and turn. Okay, so we've turned our work, and that is row 1. Now, it said to count this as a double crochet and a chain 1. Now, I want to show you my pattern, what I wrote on my pattern. So here's my pattern, and I learned this because I made this before. We're on row 2. It says chain 4, turn, double crochet in the first double crochet, and I wrote the word same, S-A-M-E, over that. So what that means to me is I'm going to go right in this little hole right here. Okay, now when I did my video on teaching you how to single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, I told you that you go in these holes because when you're new, you don't know where to put your hook. I also mentioned that some patterns want you to go in here for the first stitch or into this one. Well, this pattern, because I've worked it before and I know now, they want you to go in here instead of this. So if I made this pattern the first time, I might go in here. But I know that it wants you to go in the first double crochet. And if you think about it, this is the first double crochet of the previous row. But some patterns count this as your first double crochet. Okay, so we know already that we're going to do our first double crochet in this hole. So we're going to go right in there, and again, I said you can twist this, you can turn this, and you just got to shove it in there under the 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2, okay? And that's what you have. So you have a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet. Now our pattern says to chain 1. Now the next abbreviation on our pattern is an SK. And this pattern, or at least on the page I printed out, doesn't have abbreviation for SK. SK stands for skip. So if you want to write that on your pattern, you can. Now, it says to skip the next stitch, okay? And it says to skip the next chain 1 space. So if you look, that's your chain 1 space from the previous row. So we're going to skip that. We're going to come yarn over, and it says to double crochet in the next double crochet. Okay, so that's what we're doing, and I hope I'm not out of the frame. So we skipped that and we went into the next. Now it wants us to chain 1, and it said chain 1 comma, so I chained 1 and I stopped. Then it says to skip the next stitch, which would be right there, and then it says to do a double in the next stitch. And it tells you to do that to the center. So that means we're going to do a chain 1, skip 1, double to the center, and this is the center. So what we're going to do next is we're going to chain 1, skip one, yarn over and double crochet in the next one. And see, I can see my stitches very good with this color, and the yarn is substantial enough that, I don't know, I just really like this yarn. Okay, and it's not splitting as much. That was at the beginning of the bobbin that we had a problem with. I almost said spool. Okay, so let's go back because I might have forgot to tell you. Okay, there's our double crochet, and now we're going to chain one. We're going to skip this next stitch, and we're going to double crochet into this stitch. Okay, so there's our double crochet, and I probably say okay a lot. Now it says to chain one. So there we go, and there's a comma, so I'm stopping. Now there's parentheses. It says double crochet chain with a comma, 2 chains, comma, double crochet in the center chain 2 space. So there it is. Okay, so we're going to yarn over. We're going to do a double crochet because that's what it said. Okay, now we're going to do chain 2, and now we're going to do a double crochet in the center chain 2 space. So that's what you get. Now the next says chain 1. There's a comma. Okay, I did. Now it says double crochet in the next, double crochet, comma. Okay, double crochet in the next, double crochet. Okay, then it says chain 1, comma, skip the next double, double crochet, parentheses. So that parentheses means we're going to repeat it, but we're going to break it down. So it said to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. And see, if I read that all together, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, huh? No, we want to break it down so that we can learn how to read a pattern. Okay, so it said to double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Okay, there's a parentheses. I'm going to stop. And then it says 2 turning chain space, comma. So I got to figure out where that is. Okay, this is the space where the turning chain is. So what that means is I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet in the last one. And remember, see, you just turn it around, wiggle it to get both loops, pull through 2, pull through 2. And it says to the turning chain, so that means I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to go back to my instructions, and it says to chain 1. Now, and there's parentheses again. It says to double crochet, comma, chain 1, double crochet in the 3rd chain of the turning chain. So remember, this turning chain counts as a double crochet with a chain 1. So that means that this first little thing here is a chain. And the rest of this is your chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So in that turning chain, if it wanted you to go in here, it would have said space. It said in the turning chain. So I'm going to yarn over and do a double crochet in the turning chain. And remember again, I said wiggle it, pull it, turn it to get both loops on your hook. It said to double crochet. I'm hoping I'm not out of the frame, sorry. It said to chain one and to double crochet. Okay. All right. So that's row 2. And I'm just going to read this to you. We're not going to count because the video is going to get way too long. But it says that we're supposed to have 14 double crochets, 12 chain spaces, and 1 center 2 space. So here's our 2 double crochets, and we'll do it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's our very first one. And then we're going to do, here's our chain 2 down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we do have 14 double crochets. Now, I'm going to pause the video and get a stitch marker. Okay, I got a stitch marker. And the reason I'm using a stitch marker is I don't want to lose track of my chain 2 because this is considered the center. Okay? And when we're going along and we're making our chain 1 doubles and our other row that we're going to be doing, we got to know where our chain 2 space is all the time, because we work this side and stop and do something different. Work this side, okay? And as our item gets bigger, I will be moving this stitch marker down. Okay, so I won't do it every row. I'll just do it when I think I might lose track of it. Okay, so that is row 2. Now we're going to do rows 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then from there, I would want you to rewind the video. Okay, so our video at this point is at 10 minutes, and you can pause it at any time that you would like. Okay, so now we're going to go on to row 3. And I'm going to get a piece of paper here so that I can help follow where I'm at. And you can do the same thing. You can use a Post-it note or whatever to keep you on track. Okay, so now where it says to chain 4, 3, and 4. And I'm going to pick up the pace just a little. I'm not going to go crazy because I don't crochet that fast. Also, I think I'm going to just put this tail down through this hole. There we go. And we'll weave it in later. Okay, let's take a drink of our drink. I love me some hibiscus tea. Okay, it said chain 4 and turn. So there's our turn. Okay, now my tail's in the way over here. Okay, now it says double crochet in the first double crochet. So this is the first double crochet, and as I marked it before, to me it means the same stitch. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go inside that loop or stitch, and I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to do a double crochet. And remember, this first area is 1 double crochet, 1 chain, 1 double crochet. That's how it's counted. So now it says to okay, so now let's chain 1, and we're going to go over to the next double crochet, chain 1, go over to the next double crochet, okay, see, and then we're going to chain 1 and go over to the next double crochet. So we're going to do that all the way till we get to the chain 2 space. So I'm going to pause the video and you guys can do that. Okay, we're at the chain 2 space. Here's our marker, and we're going to chain 1 and do a double crochet in the chain 2 space, chain 2, and double crochet. We're going to single crochet, and now we're going down this other side. So we're going to double crochet in the double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. I said single crochet, that was a chain. Chain 1, double crochet, chain, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And then when we get to our turning chain, okay, there's our turning chain, we have to do one more chain, and we have to go into the third chain on our turning chain, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Okay, now this was completing row 4, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going for row 5, we're going to chain 4, but I just wanted to mention that rows 3 and 4 are the same. Now row 5 is chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's what we do at the beginning of every row, and turn our work. Now on row 5 we're going to be putting double crochets into these chain 1 spaces. So to start out, we go in our first double crochet and we make a double crochet, and then we double crochet in that first chain space. So you see how I had to pull it apart? So we double crochet and a double crochet in the next one, and a double crochet in the next chain space. Okay, and there's a double crochet, so we have to go double crochet in the top of that double crochet, and into the next chain space. Okay, so we have to do this for every double crochet and chain space till we get to the chain 2. So I'm going to pause the video. Okay, so we're over here to the chain 2 space. Okay. Oop, I got one more. So let's do a double crochet into that chain 1 space, a double crochet in this last chain, this double crochet in this last double crochet, and then the chain 2. Okay, so we're over here to the chain 2 space. Whoop, I had a little split. Remember, I love this yarn, so I'm just ignoring the splitting. And I had to take this out a couple times because my video messed up. But anyway, okay, so now we're over to the chain 2 space, as you can see, and we're going to do 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, and we're going to do 2 chains and 2 double crochets. Okay, 1 and 2. So that way we kept up with our chain 2, and if you wanted to, you could move the stitch marker up here. Okay, now we're going to start down this other side, so we want to go in the double crochet here, and in the next chain 1 space, just like we did on the other side, in the double crochet, in the chain 1 space, and in the double crochet. So we're going to proceed with this all the way to the turning chain over here. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll meet you over here. Okay, I'm over here to the side, and we're going to do a double crochet in this last double crochet, and according to the pattern, we're going to double crochet in this last chain space, and then in the chain 3, just like we've done it before, we're going to finish it the same way. We're going to go right into that chain, do a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet. Okay, now that is row 5, and if you take a look, it's very similar to row 1, and then we had row 2, 3, and 4, which are very similar. And now we're going to move on to row 6, and just like always, we're going to chain up 4. Now before we do that, I want to mention about the number of double crochets that you have here. Now as you proceed in the pattern, it's not going to give you a stitch count on every row. For row 5, it gives you a stitch count of 48 double crochets. So that means I'm supposed to have 24 on each side. And what it also means is that each row that you do like this, so it would be, you're going to be repeating row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, okay? So every time you get to this row 5 in your shawl, you have to have even numbers of double crochets on both sides. So we should have 24. So let's count them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. Very good. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. So that means the next time you get to this row, you would have an even number on each side. Okay, and you have to double check yourself and make sure you have 1 in each space and 1 in each double, because I've messed up and skipped 1 and whatever. Okay, so we're going to chain up for row 6. So that would be 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, row 6. So we chained up 4, and we're going to go right in to the first double crochet, and we're going to chain 1. And we're going to skip, there's a chain 1 space there, so we're going to skip that, and we're going to go double crochet in the next double crochet. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, and we're going to do that all the way across till we get to our chain 2 space. So I'll meet you over there. Okay, so we've done chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, and we're right over here. Here's our chain 2 space. Now, if you've done it correctly, you should have a chain 1 and a double into this last double before the chain 2 space. Now, that's how you can keep yourself on track. So when I've made a mistake, when I come down here, if my last double would be in this one, that would be wrong. So I hope I don't confuse you. So let's say I skipped one in here. I didn't have an even number of stitches, okay? Then I might end up over here, and that's not good, because we're supposed to end up with our last double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the last double before the chain 2. So I've done it before when I've done that, and I end up on this one. So I've had to take that side out and recount or redo it, because you're always supposed to end up on this side right with this double before the chain 2. Hopefully I didn't confuse you, but that's how you can check yourself as your rows progress. Now, we're going to do 2 double crochets in this chain 2 space. Oh, nope, we're just doing one double crochet in the chain 2 space. So there it is. Now we're going to do 2 chains and 1 double crochet. So hopefully if you were following the pattern, you would have caught my mistake. Okay, so there we are. We're right on schedule, so to speak, with our chain 2 matching up with the rest of them. Now we're going to do a single crochet, and right next door we're going to go into that double crochet. There's no skip on either side, okay? So see how this goes? My double goes right next to this, and the same on that side. Now I do a chain, I skip 1 and double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1 and skip 1, and we're going to do that all the way down this side. Now when we get done with this side, we should come out with our last double crochet in this spot. Oop, I'm out of camera. So when we do our double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skip 1, our last double crochet should end up in this stitch. If it doesn't, we have to adjust it. And I'm going to meet you back over here, so please continue with chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Okay, so I'm over towards my turning chain, and I've chained 1. I'm going to skip 1, and my last double is going to be in this stitch. So that means I did this row correctly. So I'm going to skip that next one and go in to this double crochet, and we're going to end this row like we always do by going into the 3rd chain, doing a double crochet, and again we gotta fiddle with it maybe. There we go. chain 1, double crochet. Okay, now so let's talk about what we have here. And if you want to get your pencil, you can make some notes from what I say. Now, if we take a look at this, I really love these colors, and I'm hoping that you love them too. This is the peacock color. I don't think I mentioned that, but this is the peacock, and we know that it's going to be self-striping. But here we go. This is row 5, and this is row 6. Now here's where I want you to write it down. Row 6 is the same as row 2. Row 7 is the same as row 3. Row 8 is the same as row 4. And row 9 is the same as row 5. Okay? And that's your repeat. You have, it says, repeat rows 2 through 5 7 more times. Okay? Well, I'm going to use all of my Premier bobbin in peacock, and as we know, the yarn is going to self-stripe, and you can create this using the self-striping yarn, the bobbin. You can use a cake, you can use a solid. Remember the rose shawl I did was a solid. Or you could use any kind of yarn that you would like and just tie the colors together and then weave in the ends later. But I'm loving this peacock, and I wanted to do the light color close up to my face, and then we know it will automatically, we're going to have to probably tie the end. I'm not sure. This is my first cake. My first bobbin. But I'm gonna finish this. Now, this says, and I'm gonna turn it, so get ready. It says that it's 543 yards. Okay, so I intend to use this whole bobbin on this shawl, and I'm not sure how big it's gonna come out. On my other shawl, the rose one, and the Premier Sweet Roll Frostie Marzipan, it was 28 inches. Okay, I'm going to move this so that you can see and I can hold it up. So the 28 inches was from here up and all the way to the end. So this is going to just keep going out like this. That was my 28 inches. Now the pattern calls for 31 inches, but I stopped when I ran out of yarn. The pattern calls for 57 inches across, so that would be this way, okay? Mine came out 60. So my other two shawls were 28 down and 60 across, and I really like the 60 across. But you can do it as big as you would like. I'm going to do it until my 543 yards are gone. And if it comes out 28 by 60, great. But that's what I'm doing. Now, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please comment below. And I wanted to let you know that my next tutorial is going to be on the Bernat Diamond baby blanket, and that was the pattern that I mentioned in the want to make that I couldn't find a link for. So what I'm going to do is in that tutorial I'll include my email address, and you can request a photocopy and I'll just copy and paste in the pattern. But if anybody finds a link for the Bernat Crochet Diamond baby blanket, I would be more than happy to share the link, but I searched again today and I wasn't able to find the link. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you would subscribe and comment below. And of course, like the video. Thank you. Have a great day.